Katty Law. Welcome to Breakfast with Bobsy.
Bobsy, thank you
Good to
for
have you
inviting
here.
me. Yes.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure. We have a bit of a Hong Kong sound check, sound background.
I know,
but,
I know.
That's okay, you know. We're used to it, right?
Yes, actually.
So, Katty, you are an inspiration to me.
Thank you.
In this city.
It's a compliment.
And I've been observing your work and quietly being involved in your work for a very long time. I remember the first time I became aware of your organization was when you were on Staunton Street in Soho, maybe around 2005.
That's a long time ago, Bobsy.
You were campaigning to stop them building that tall building that's come up now on Staunton Street. You were trying to raise awareness about preserving the heritage and the characteristic and the culture and the community of Soho.
Yeah, I think at
Back
that
then
time,
I was running Life Cafe, so I came down and I signed the petitions and got lots of people to sign it. And I remember it was heartening to see some people caring about a community, about heritage, and ever since I've been inspired by what you and John have been doing over the years. And so just very briefly, you're the co-founder of the Central and Western Concern Group,
yes,
right? Which is a society in Hong Kong, and you're a mother, and you've been campaigning very hard to raise awareness and education and preserve some of our culture and heritage in this lovely city. So tell me what inspires you.
Yeah, well, if you say you met us, back in 2005, I think that's probably around that time that John Batten, some other neighbors and I have been woken up to the kind of overdevelopment in our neighborhood, in Central and Shangwan area. And I've been a resident in this area for over 40 years.
Whoa,
Yes,
40 years.
Over 40,
Wow.
yeah. I grew up in here.
Yeah.
And this is my neighborhood, and we really love this neighborhood. And it has changed a lot over the years. I still lived on Cane Road, where I have been for the last 45 years. Well, I only moved to Lama for about 1 year, and then I moved back because.
What year was this?
Let me think. It's 1989 or 1990. Around that time. I'm not sure.
That was before my time.
Yeah. So I also love Lama, but for work it's a bit, far away. Yeah, to travel every day. So I moved back to Cane Road, that area. So that area has been my neighborhood for so long, and it was around that time when my kids, they were small, and I started to, really look into the neighborhood, the environment, and all the developments there. And I found, there were very little space for children to play, not enough open space, well-designed open space, and there were lots of development, knocking down of, old buildings, tenement buildings, like 4 or 5-story tenements building. And all the new developments were 50 stories, super high, glass, facade, like that. And really, it's not, environmentally, it's not sustainable nor friendly to children, families, and old people. So we started that the concern group, really. To look at planning and heritage conservation in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of our first projects is to look at what is called the PMQ now, Yeah, because at that time the site was on the land sales list, and the government is planning to sell that site to a developer for 2 blocks of high-rise residential towers. So at that time we just came together with a few neighbors and tried to find out what we could do about that, trying to figure out ways.
Legendary, and this is one of the reasons I have you for breakfast today, is because not many people know this. Not many people know that the PMQ was going to be demolished, and we would have had a nondescript, another residential tall-rise building with no character necessarily, and we would have lost part of our heritage.
Yeah.
And that was so inspirational to see the PMQ saved and to see what it's become today, which is wonderful.
Yeah, we were like that too, when we saw it in the news that it was on the, land sale list, we just couldn't believe it. We say, not again, another, public site gone. And
not again, that's the key word. Not again.
Not
Please,
again.
Wake up. What's going on,
Yeah, and at that time we were just like freshmen, we were just, ordinary Gai Fong, who lived in the neighborhood and from different professions and, housewives and gallery owner or, someone who worked in the textile industry. And but we just came together as a group of community members, and we tried to figure out ways to change it. And we are not happy about the planning at that time. And from then on, we just learned, the ways in planning, in the issues related with heritage.
All the red tape.
Yes.
All the complications. How many government departments are involved for 1 square inch?
Town planning board.
You just have to deal with one government department, right?
No, yeah. Transport, we have buildings and lands, planning, the town planning board, we make a town planning application. We also research into the history of that area, and we have very interesting findings about not only the police quarters, but the central school, which is the
Queen's College?
Yeah, Queen's College, also called Queen's College, the first public school in Hong Kong. And then before that, there was a Xinwang temple on that site, which is also, an amazing finding for me, because
before the school there was a temple.
Yeah, it's called the Xinwang, and that's why there is a Xinwang Street now.
Yeah.
I walk up and down that street for so many years without realizing the story, and to me it's a revelation, for someone who who lived in that area, to be in connection with all those stories and history of that particular neighborhood is really, it touches
beautiful.
me.
It's empowering.
Yes.
It gives us purpose, right?
Yeah.
When we live in an old neighborhood with history and culture, it gives us a sense of purpose. It gives us a sense of identity. It gives us a sense of community. It gives more relevance to the neighborhood in which we live, right?
You can almost feel, you know, when you close your eyes, you're in that old neighborhood. You're in touch of people who were there in the past. Yeah. They're all there. They're still there, we are just in different dimensions. Yeah. So I think it's really beautiful for us to be in touch of the past of a place, that we can actually feel we are part of that long history.
Absolutely. And Mana Cafe here now is in this one of the oldest neighborhoods in Hong Kong, right? And there's a lot of water underneath us, right? Coming down from the mountains, going down all the way to Victoria Harbour.
Yes.
And I've always said that this is one of the reasons why the Taiping Shan Commons area, this area here, is one of the oldest neighborhoods, is because of the fresh water.
Yes.
Right?
I also read about some studies about this water coming down.
Yeah.
And in fact, during the very dry period in the 1960s And when there's only very limited water supply.
Water rations.
Yeah, water ration in Hong Kong. People can still collect water from the walls,
Yes.
where the water just, came
Coming
out from the
through it.
holes.
It
yeah.
still does. You can't stop it. It keeps on coming to the surface.
Yeah.
It can't be contained,
Mm-hmm.
because this neighborhood, Hong Kong, was built on fresh water.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and the water coming down from the hill, there are certain areas that
Yeah.
they concentrate,
Yes.
and that's why we have places called the water lane, the tank lane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's because it's related to this water.
Do you know Sonny, who used to live here in the neighborhood?
Sunny,
Do you know Sonny?
which
He used to
Uh-huh.
he used to work in the Chinese restaurant on Taiping Shan, but it's gone now. And his name was Sonny. And he was a very sunny, happy-go-lucky local chap. He was
Yeah.
also born and raised in this neighborhood.
yes,
And he was telling me some wonderful stories when he was a kid. Exactly, they would come and collect water here. All of Hong Kong was suffering with drought, but here they always had water.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I also know a few friends who, grew up in this place, and he told me wonderful stories of the time when he was a kid. Where he would play.
Yeah.
In the medical museum. They used to be like an institute, to study the pathological institute, to study, ways to combat, those diseases. And animals were raised there at that time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, I found an old photo of that particular site, the medical museum, where there was, the animals, there are fences,
Wow,
to
in
keep some
cages,
animals.
wow.
Not cages, they just, surround them
Yeah.
and
So they studied them. And
they study
yeah.
them, yeah. So this area, it's
And no high rises back then,
amazing.
right?
No.
Everything was low rise.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The history about the bubonic plague,
Yes.
yeah, long time ago in the 1890s.
Yes.
And that's how we now have the Blake Garden.
Yes. Beautiful.
It's because of that time. This is a particularly congested
Yes.
and densely built area
Yes.
with mostly Chinese people.
Yes.
And it was actually where the bubonic plague was most problematic in this area.
In the 1890s, right?
Yeah. So every small street, and you can
Has a
find the stories, and
Yeah.
it's great to know about them and to
your
understand
pressure
them.
group has been working very hard to preserve all of this, and even the old trees, right? You keep an eye on the old trees so they can't just come and cut them down because one of the neighbors was complaining that the leaves are dripping onto their balcony, or
No, they shouldn't be cut because of that.
So
yeah.
the fact that you are around gives me peace of mind.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Like,
And also, I really enjoy, having a neighbor like you, because having you around also, it's so, aligned with this, the atmosphere of
Yes.
this neighborhood.
yes.
It's really
It's
good.
the only reason we have the cafe here. I mean, it's not the best place for a business, right?
Yeah, you
But
can say that.
it's the best place for culture. It's the best place for community. And we use this beautiful terrace here for events.
Yeah.
And where in Hong Kong can you sit and have a coffee or, some food without the cars?
And have a slow life, a slow
life
pace.
and fresh air, right?
Yes.
We're sitting here, there are no cars, no buses, no trucks. It's much quieter, we're surrounded by trees, we're surrounded by history.
It's really nice
Yeah.
that people appreciate,
Yeah.
this neighborhood,
Yes.
and its quietness, the tranquility, the atmosphere, and don't mind having to walk a little bit to come here.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we're on Pound Lane now. Do you know why it's called Pound Lane? Any
Yes.
idea? Oh,
yes.
why?
Yes. This area is closely associated with the British, coming to Hong Kong. They landed on the possession point,
Yeah.
which is now called the Possession Street. And so when they landed, they set up their camps here and, stay here and exploring, the Hong Kong island and the surrounding area. And when they set up the camp, they also need animals, you know, just for food. And so pound is not, you know, the weighing instrument, but it's an animal pound. Pound for animal. Yeah.
Okay.
Some people misunderstood, and also in the Chinese name is like like a scale, the pound.
Yes.
But
or the
not
British
at
pound.
all. Yeah, it's not at all.
So
it's
more
actually
like an animal compound.
a place that they
kept
fence
the
up the animal
Oh,
and
wow.
to keep the animal for, you know, for their stay in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the story of Pound Lane.
And talking of Pound Lane, you campaigned very hard to stop the modern development of Pound Lane by putting another escalator, which would have entirely ruined
It will.
this neighborhood. What's the history of this campaign? Because I remember it's called I Love Pound Lane. We saw these posters everywhere.
We say no to the escalator. Yeah.
And you pretty much stopped it, right?
I can say that that project has been shelved.
Yes.
Yeah, because we haven't heard about it, and it was not talked about in the district council anymore. They now focus on other projects. And it was a few years ago, I think at least 5 years ago, when it was raised in the district council by some district councillors who thought that you know, building an escalator here would want them, you know, votes, and it's kind of, you know, infrastructure that they are happy to see coming up in the district.
And possibly invest in.
Oh yeah, sure.
So they could see Soho too here, right?
Yeah, and more development, and having an escalator is being, you know, sold by, you know, the property agents as another area where you can see new developments, high rise, new luxurious.
The value of all of these properties, so this one, they all went up on the rumor that Pound Lane escalator was coming in.
I remember also a property agency, you know, which doing all those buying up of property, has set up a shop right down there. Yeah.
And there's some property developers, I don't think that's the right word. We should call them property builders. Because development is, this is development, right?
Oh yeah. We should see development is in a totally different way.
They bought up a lot of these properties.
Yes.
So anyway, so Pound Lane, we can rest assured, because when we were first taking over the cafe here, in the back of my mind I was worried about Pound Lane.
Yes.
Because this was still early 2015. And the rumors were that they still wanted to go ahead with the escalator. And I was thinking, you know, maybe if we have a business here, we can help stop the escalator.
Good for you too.
Even though it'll be very good for our business, but it won't be very good for our spirits, won't be very good for our...
It would be very sad. You would see the whole street, you know, completely dug up. No, not talking about commercialized yet. It will be dug up, destroyed, and for quite a number of years before the escalator will be running. And from then on, it will be, you know, very mechanical, a mechanical thing, you know, going up this street. You will hear the noise, I'm sure. And then it will be very busy, and the ambience.
The birds will go.
Yeah, the ambience of the area will be totally, you know, gone. So we are very happy that you know, the government finally comes to its senses, you know, to shelve this project, but we still need to, you know, keep watching very carefully.
There's no time to relax, right? You can't.
Well,
you can't rest.
But I think
I can't rest.
It's important to do that as well, and I somehow we see it as our mission to watch over the neighborhood, because this is such a historic and sensitive neighborhood, you know, that you know, any unsensible development will ruin the place. So
Unsensible development, that's the word. So we are not against development, we're just against what we used to call blind development.
yeah.
On Lama back in the day, we also campaigned very hard to save Yongxuan. So our first campaign was 1994 to try and save the bay, Yongxuan Harbor.
Yeah.
And we lost that campaign. They
What
went
happened?
ahead. They went ahead and reclaimed the whole shore of Yongxuan.
They did that? Uh-huh.
That was 94, 95. It was a big campaign. It got a lot of media attention, and we played it up. We used drumming and music, and we marched to the chief executive back then, the governor back then, and we handed out petitions, and we collected thousands of signatures. But nevertheless, the reclamation went ahead. But it was only one side of Yongxuan. So we learned a lot. We learned the system.
Yes.
We met with many different government departments. We heard the views of some local people that were supporting it, and the views of others who weren't supporting it. The majority of the people didn't support it because they were very aware that it was going to irrevocably ruin the character of Yongxuan.
Right.
Nevertheless, it went ahead, and they've got the refuse collection point there now, and the police station. But then it resurfaced again in 2003, and they wanted to reclaim the rest of Yongxuan.
Wow.
So the main street will become a secondary street. So the main street, the harbor, they wanted to build another street, and then another waterfront.
They did not succeed, right?
They did not succeed. We stopped it.
Yeah.
We called that campaign Save Lama. And we got universities involved, Hong Kong U, Science University, a lot of academics. We had a lot of support behind us.
That's good.
Because truly they would have killed Lama Island. 7-Eleven, Parking Shop, Welcome, they would have all come
It
in.
will be terrible, and the natural harbor will be completely
Gone.
filled up.
Gone.
Yeah.
And what they were proposing was not aesthetic. It was not a sensible development. So we proposed our own plan, an alternative plan, which was very communal, very people-friendly, very eco-friendly, aesthetically beautiful. It would have been wonderful for tourists.
Yes.
But the government wasn't listening. The local powers that be didn't understand it. They just thought we were anti-development. We tried to explain that we are just anti-blind development. So it kind of became a bit political, as you would know.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we won that campaign.
Yeah. At least they stopped the
But
reclamation.
now, it's kind of being resurfaced again.
Again?
And when you earlier said, not again, this is what we've been saying on Lama, not again. You know,
How come? I mean, how will it happen again?
Because the local powers, the local politicians, have vested interest in the construction materials, in the sand, in the cement, and in labor. They have a vested commercial interest. So for them, it's really about profit. It's really about money.
Yes.
So for them, a big reclamation of Yongxuan Harbor means a lot of work, a lot of business.
So you have to start,
Start again.
Start
but
again.
I don't think I personally can start again.
Well, you have to work as a community.
The next generation. It's the next generation now, and on Lama there is the next generation.
Good.
And they have organizations and NGOs, and they are raising awareness and educating. You know, now the millennials have come
You
through.
can be their advisor.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
But as you know, it takes a lot of time to campaign.
I know.
A lot of energy.
Yeah. Lot of energy.
A lot of money, a lot of effort. It's a full-time job if you want to succeed. So we've already done 2 really, really big campaigns. And for the Save Lama campaign, I dedicated 2 months of 7 days a week of my time.
Yeah.
So we succeeded. And it really takes
it's
all
very,
your
very
energy,
time
mentally,
consuming.
spiritually, physically, emotionally.
So we understand.
We understand each
not
other.
Again.
Not again.
Not
When you said
again.
Not again. I'm like.
Not again.
And even today, in 2018, the government's going to propose to knock this down, build that, and we're going to say not again. You know,
Yes.
please,
Mhm.
let's develop as a developed city. Let's grow as a hub of community and culture and heritage.
Yeah.
And let's give the people what they want.
We want peace and,
And we want pedestrianized streets.
Oh,
We want
yeah.
streets for people.
Mm-hmm.
In Hong Kong, a car has more rights than you or me.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And if you are we are very close to Hollywood Road, right?
Yes.
You know, Hollywood Road has been so congested, every day.
Yeah.
I mean, around noon or afternoon time,
Yeah.
the cars
Yeah.
started to queue up.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
And Soho,
And Soho.
Staunton, Elgin. Why wasn't this pedestrianized
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago?
It's not a very walkable area. I mean,
No.
it should be walkable,
But it's not.
but it's not.
Dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Soho, I live quite close to Soho, and the pedestrian walkway is very narrow,
Yeah.
and always there are trucks
Congested, polluted.
parking along the
Yeah.
one lane,
Yeah.
and then the other lane is all congested. It should be very walkable if it's pedestrianized.
And if it's pedestrianized, think how it would benefit the environment. Think how it would benefit the economy. Think how it would benefit tourism.
Yeah.
Think how it would benefit the arts and crafts. Think how it would benefit all the businesses there. Because then we could have street furniture, we could have street
Yeah.
culture, we could have events. It'll bring a lot of tourists, a lot of money. The restaurants and the shops will become so much busier.
Yeah.
The kids can run around, we can breathe. There's no danger of our kids being run over by a truck.
I think people will generally be happier
Won't they?
if the street is pedestrianized. And I remember when Carrie Lam became, the chief executive, on the first 2 days of July, Hollywood Road was actually pedestrianized to organize, a lot of events and, like a festival for Hollywood Road. And people were actually enjoying themselves a lot, And I wonder why, or whether we should propose, to the government again, and at least to, have a trial, like during the weekends,
Yeah.
to pedestrianize,
Yeah.
Just Saturday or Sunday, have
Yeah.
a trial
And
see.
Soho makes a lot more sense than Devo Road. There's a big campaign now to pedestrianize Devo Road. That's difficult. Soho would be a lot easier because the businesses would support, most residents would support. Of course, some will object.
But I think as long as we
then
take
there's no
care
problem
of
with the traffic.
the delivery,
Well, what do they do all over the world?
Uh-huh.
The Hong Kong legislators are saying, well, what about the delivery? Well, what have they done in every other country in the world?
They could
We've
be
solved this
taken
problem.
care of.
Easy.
I mean, for
Easy.
example, you reserve a time in the morning to do the
Or in the
delivery,
evening, yeah.
and in the evening. But the rest of the time, it could be pedestrianized.
What have they done in every European city? They pedestrianized streets.
Yeah.
It's an easy problem to solve.
Yes.
It
Not
shouldn't-
difficult at all.
shouldn't- So that's not the real reason they don't want it to happen.
There are other interests, as you say.
Commercial.
Also, the developers, they don't like that their building is not, accessible by car, right up in front of the door, something like that.
Correct. But they're misguided because they would benefit the most. Because a lot of tourists would come, a lot of locals, there'd be a lot more spending money, a lot more, the economy would benefit so much.
They need to think a bit more, not
Yeah,
just
it's
looking
just
at
like,
the
no,
surface.
but why no? Because if we follow that mentality, then we're still hitting each other with sticks and stones on the heads.
Yeah.
If we say no to everything,
I
let's
think-
invent the wheel. No, let's not invent the wheel,
I think we should talk about it more. Yeah, I think the talk about pedestrianization was a few years ago already.
Yeah.
And recently not much have been done, nothing at all have been done, and not much discussion. We could,
Well, now the consciousness of people is much more ready than in 2007 and 8 when we were talking about pedestrianizing Soho.
Yeah.
Remember HK Magazine?
Yes.
They
yes.
did a whole cover on what a pedestrianized Soho would look like.
Yeah.
We were involved with that. But now the millennials, the young ones, anyone younger than 30 is ready for pedestrianization because they understand why. You know, the millennials are moving towards plant-based diets, they're moving towards setting up NGOs, they care about the environment, they care about the air, they care about community.
They appreciate the old tenement buildings.
So we live in a different Hong Kong now than we did in 2007 or 8. So I think now is the time to start a campaign to pedestrianize. We've got to start with something feasible. Devo Road is very difficult to pedestrianize. Let's start with something like the street behind Tai Ping Shan. You know where Tika is. Well, we created something called Tai Ping Shan Society here. And this is 2 years ago, and we worked very, very hard to pedestrianize the area behind the alleyway behind Tai Ping Shan. And we worked very hard, and we had university students helping us, and
I remember,
and we used to meet here, and we used to meet in Tika, and we figured out how it can be done, but that was just for one weekend. So we could have a festival of sorts. But it's feasible, you can do it for one weekend, and that would set a benchmark, would set an example for the government to see, oh, okay, this kind of works.
Have you contacted the government to talk about these ideas?
We stopped it.
Oh, wow.
We ran out of time, we ran out of patience, we ran out of money. But Nana and myself, we spearheaded this, we funded it. We figured out how it can be done, which government department to go through, which step has to come first, how to deal with the local elderly population, because automatically they reject, they say no, without knowing why. So we figured out that we have to consult them, they have to be informed, they have to be empowered, and all the various government departments. So we know it can be done.
I think we need patience and persistence, right? We just have
something we can talk about later if we want to pedestrianize a small part of this neighborhood somewhere. Because I think the time is right to do that.
Yeah, because the government is also talking a lot about walkability in the city. And I think this is one of those neighborhoods that can actually realize and make it feasible and workable. So
let's carry this conversation on later and
I know,
see if it's time
I would love to see this area pedestrianized.
Everybody would benefit. Everybody.
And in fact, walking, we see many people walking in front of us now is a really good exercise for,
up and down the steps.
all of us. And of course, the stairs could be a little bit challenging, but I talked to quite a lot of, old people, senior, in this neighborhood, and some of them, actually reflect to me is that because they have to walk up and down so much, that makes them actually healthier.
Exactly.
Many people still live in the Tong Lao in this area, and they have to walk up and down every day, and makes them healthier.
Absolutely, there's some beautiful old people here in this neighborhood who, like this lady here now,
I know her.
She's a recycling corporal,
Very important job, and
keeps the neighborhood clean and tidy, and walks up and down the steps.
And she's very healthy, and very strong, and very, happy with her work. And very proud of being able, to make a living, to support herself, and I chat with her a lot of times, and she's very fit, and
and she serves the community.
Yes,
she
you're right.
has purpose, Tell me a bit about Wingley Street, another success story that has benefited everyone. Tell me a little bit about that campaign and how you won the campaign for Hong Kong.
Well, that campaign was, almost like 10 years ago when we heard about the Urban Renewal Authority. We call it the URA. announce the start of their redevelopment project. So that particular site is not just Wingley Street, but also the surrounding area. Wingley Street, Xinguang Street, Staunton Street, and also the Wai In Fong, the back lanes behind Staunton. So it's not a very big area, but there are many Tong Lao, or we call tenements buildings in that area. And the URA just thought, oh, that's a great target because they can buy all the buildings cheaply, and they can again build like a 40-story tower, two towers for sale. So we realized that project, and but on the other hand, we see a very nice neighborhood in there. You know, many people who lived there for many years, and were very, you know, they are printers. You remember all the printers there?
The oldest printing shop left in Hong Kong was there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Shame it's gone.
Shame it's gone, because that area is particularly, you know, well known for having a, you know, a concentration of printing workshops, and there are all, you know, printing machines where you can learn, you know, how to do the types and
yes,
typeface and so typesetting and so on. And as a start, you know, we tried to talk to those people who live there to find out about the stories of the area. And we also study the tenement buildings, the architecture. Why is it so special? And I think, especially for Wingley Street, because it's a terrace. It's like Taiwan Terrace. And terraces are a very unique features of the city of Victoria, the old town in Central, because the Victoria city was built on a slope. You know, we have a very hilly terrain here.
Yes.
And so the first, you know, the colonial people, they developed the slope of this city of Victoria by cutting out terraces. You know, you can't build on a steep slope, but you need to cut the flat grounds for terraces. So terraces and those wall trees on the retaining walls are in fact very special features of the city of Victoria. And Wingley Street is one of the, you know, remaining terraces which has a whole row of tenement buildings. There are 12 numbers of tenement buildings on Wingley Street, all a continuous row, and that's quite unique.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But we found out that, you know, the URA has no idea of preserving the tenements. All they want to do is to build a high-rise tower, and actually they plan a swimming pool on Wingley Street and a clubhouse. You know, that's, you know, it's really, I think there's something.
Lack of awareness.
They have no awareness and no appreciation, I have to say, for the city's heritage and the very special character that defines, you know, that part of Hong Kong. And we're very strongly, you know, about that to preserve that unique character. So we also work together with some academics from Chinese University. They actually did a very detailed study of the architecture of the terrace and the whole area, the neighborhood. And we found out that, you know, it's a very special corner of the, you know, the whole of Central. That's you know, there's very little left of that kind of places. So finally, we managed to convince the government, and also adding to that is a movie.
Colors of the Rainbow?
Yeah, that was made in that area, using that area as the backdrop.
Was the movie filmed before the terrace was saved officially, or after the terrace was saved
Before.
officially? Before. And that helped save it, right?
It helped save it, yeah. I actually saw the making of the movie during that. You saw it?
Because we were filming Save the Human. Did you ever see Save the Human, Don't Eat the Planet?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
I haven't, yeah.
It's a 6.5-minute small infomentary about the impact eating meat, fish and dairy is having on our planet. We filmed that in 2008, 2009. While we were filming that, they were filming Colors of the Rainbow. So the director of Colors of the Rainbow is actually on the video, and she's saying, "Save the human, don't eat the planet."
Really? Mabel, right? Mabel Jones.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we asked her to say, "Save the
That's
human."
nice. I met her
So,
too. Yeah.
Save the Human. It ended up winning Best Documentary at the Hong Kong Film Festival.
Wow.
Only 6.5 minutes.
Can I still see it
Yeah,
now?
it's on YouTube.
It's on
And
YouTube.
there's 3 of them, the same, but one has Chinese subtitles.
Oh, that's
Just
nice.
type in "Save the Human, Don't Eat the Planet." And of course that inspired Green Mondays, Green Wednesdays, the whole green movement. This was before Mana.
It's really
This
good.
was 2008, 2009 when we were running Life Cafe. And we filmed all across this neighborhood. So you see a lot of beautiful terraces in the film. A lot of people you'll know who appeared in the movie, not the movie, just an infomentary.
Yeah. It's so nice to talk to you about all these because it seems that we are in the same place,
Yeah,
same time,
yeah.
doing our different campaigns, but
Yeah.
it's linked in a way, right?
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
completely linked.
Yeah.
And of course a lot of people don't know this history. Because Hong Kong's always been a transient place where people come
And
go.
the pace is too fast
And the
sometimes.
pace is quick, and the pace is quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sit in a beautiful, very important neighborhood for Hong Kong and for Hong Kong's development. And this is why we're having breakfast together.
Yeah.
So tell
So-
me, as a woman working in this field and meeting a lot of government departments that are very masculine by nature, by structure, how do you find it as a woman leading the way here?
In a way, I think the work that we have been doing in relation to urban planning, conservation, it's very suitable for women to take part because we have this, very strong sense of trying to create a good home, to create a good environment for the family. And we are, very strongly aware, of this, the issues that will be affecting the environment, whether the air is clean, the water is clean, whether we have enough greenery and open space for the children to play, or for the old people to walk around in the city. And we also have this very strong sense of defending, the home, the neighborhood as well. So I find that in my field, for my friends, many of my friends are women doing that. And I'm not saying that men are not aware, because you are someone that I really admired.
Well, I'm half woman. if I shaved my beard off, I could pass for
We can say that we all have, the man and the woman in
Yes.
us, right?
Yes.
But I think the feminist, the attention that we put into, having a vision for, a nice neighborhood and a warm and caring home is what we could extend to look at our city, whether it is sustainable and whether it will provide a good environment for our children and the family. So I think that the whole concept is just a continuation. And I'm very happy to see that more and more women are getting involved in this movement. And many of them are leading the way in different districts. Hong Kong, although Hong Kong you can say is very small, but we have many different districts. And I'm very happy to see that, increasingly, the members of the community, different small community, are becoming aware of the problems that we are facing, the threats that we are facing from overdevelopment. And they are coming out, stand up to talk about it, to, try to fight for, a better environment. And
Absolutely.
I can see it in, everywhere in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. And as I said earlier, I feel so much happier to know that there's someone like you in our environment, in our community, looking out for something that belongs to everyone.
I think it's somehow it's
common
all,
heritage,
all
right?
it's our
Yes,
responsibility to look out for each other,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
to have, because now, for example, a neighborhood like this, and we need to have someone, for example, people who lived here, people who have to shop here, to help taking care of it.
Absolutely.
You know, we can't, you know, be everywhere at the same
No,
time, but
no.
if we have, like, you know, like the comrades, you know,
Yes.
we are comrades,
Yes.
and in this neighborhood, and I will be very happy to think that, oh, Bobsy is here on Tai on Terrace,
Yes.
and his shop is here. He will be watching out. If there is some problems,
Yeah.
he can let us know, and we can try
Yeah.
to figure out a
Absolutely.
way to make it
And
better.
you know, just round the corner on the terrace,
Uh-huh.
there's an old gas lamp. Can we renovate that?
Renovate,
Yeah, because it's still standing and it's from
Yeah.
1910 or something.
I noticed that.
yeah.
Yeah. We first of all we have to make sure that it will not be damaged in any way.
Yeah.
So we need to, for example, check with the Antiquities and Monuments
You know the one I
Office.
mean, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
a skeleton just standing
Yeah,
there.
it's beautiful though.
But
yeah.
it won't
Do you
take
want to
long
use
to-
it again? To function again?
Yes, let's make it function again because I think people need that now. People are
Yeah.
wanting that.
Yeah, we have the similar one on in Central.
Yes.
Yeah, the steps.
Yeah.
So
That are functional and
that's
yeah.
are functional, and
any more left? Are there any more left?
not that many.
So
not
I think
that many.
I think Hong Kong would support preserving maybe one of the last ones left standing.
Definitely.
And,
And it's in a very nice area with
a beautiful
the
area.
old steps
Yeah.
and very
Shall we
very
do that?
Yes, yes.
yeah, and obviously we need to get Hong Kong Electric involved. I think maybe or
Yes.
Or town
if
gas.
you want it to become an electric and the thing is, yeah, there's a whole lot of things that we can
yes,
do.
of course.
We have to watch out for, especially for old neighborhoods like this. There are some features that are still remaining here, that have been standing here for, say, over 150
Yes.
years. The stairs, the stone retaining walls. They may not necessarily be a certain building, but there are many features,
Yes.
like the
Public
gas
features,
lamp,
Yes.
that we should cherish it
Yes.
and find ways to protect it and
Renovate it.
hopefully to make it
Yeah.
useful again. Things like that, yeah.
Why not? I think the time is right now. An idea whose time has come is stronger than all the forces in the world. And this is always how we've changed the world.
Yeah.
When an idea whose time has come, it can't be stopped.
Yes. And it's
Like ending slavery, for example. Ending
and-
human slavery.
yeah, we can work together to do that.
And now I
it's
think
easy.
Hong Kong would support pedestrianization, would support renovation, would support conservation, would support heritage. Very different to 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's what we are trying to do with that area next to Wingley Street.
Yes.
Now you can see that it's still under the URA.
And I've got these ugly metal
Fences,
Why?
yeah. We are trying to get together a group of community members to think of ways to open up that
Open it
fenced
up,
up
yeah.
area.
Let's
And
open it up and plant flowers and trees.
yeah, it will be a very nice public space.
Yes.
And the old tenements behind that, which have been bought up by the URA, we are trying to ask them to preserve them and to give uses to them.
Yes.
Make it, residence for
Yes.
people who need, housing, for
Yes.
example.
Yes.
And on the ground floor, it can be some interesting shops or like a heritage interpretation room.
Calligraphy or paper making
Yeah.
or some old,
Yeah.
arts and crafts and
Second-hand bookshop. Yeah.
there's a million beautiful things to do that would make people happy, would give meaning, would give value. And then I noticed that on Bridges Street, the old Bauhaus architectural market,
yeah.
there are only two left in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
That's going to become a news museum?
Yeah, it's called a news expo. It's mainly for the news industry in Hong Kong to exhibit maybe their old archives, for to do some thematic exhibitions, and I think that's a nice project as well. And as you can see, the PMQ is now running.
Yeah.
Okay. And then very soon we have that news expo opening.
Yeah.
It's probably end of this year.
Yeah.
And the whole neighborhood would be.
We have the central police station coming very
Oh,
soon.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
happy to see that finally.
Mm-hmm.
Because we tried to open a beautiful community inside,
Yeah.
but the Hong Kong Jockey Club,
Why?
they didn't understand what we were talking about.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about community, we were talking about culture, we were talking about health food, we were talking about music, arts and crafts. They didn't understand it.
Oh.
All they wanted was business, business, big restaurants, big restaurants, big restaurants. And their briefing was,
Uh-huh.
it has to be for the community, it has to be about heritage, it has to be for Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
2 years they made us apply and work. And we presented a dossier this big, this thick,
Yeah.
and they said no.
Oh.
And now if you look at who the tenants are, it's the big groups, it's the big restaurant groups.
Oh,
It's-
that's a
it's
shame.
the opposite of what they said.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And they honestly didn't understand what we were talking about or what we wanted to do, and which was very bizarre. But nevertheless, putting that aside, I'm very happy to finally see the central police station, because this is going to be mega. This is going to bring a lot of tourists, a lot of
It took about
pedestrianisation.
more than 10 years, right?
long,
It's a
long journey.
long project, yeah.
So Central Police Station, PMQ, the News Museum, Wingley Terrace, us here, Taiping Shan. It's time now the government looked at the neighborhood as a whole
Yes.
and understood its importance for development, for the economy, for the future of Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It is time
yeah.
to look at this holistically and not just small pockets here and there, and connect the whole neighborhood together.
Yeah.
What I call Greater Central.
Yeah. I think even for the tourists, it's a very interesting part of
Massive.
Old Central.
Massive.
And I think, well, you can say some tourists will go for the shopping part of Hong Kong, but there are other tourists that are more interested in the culture, in the history of Hong Kong, especially this very, very, very historic part of Central. And you can see more of them coming. Sometimes I find it quite amusing when I saw many tourists standing in front of the wall next to GOD, to take that picture.
Non-stop.
I want to tell them there's so much more to see in
But
Taiping Shan.
They don't know because no one's telling them, and they're coming in busloads.
Yeah.
And they're from only 3 countries:
Korea.
Korea, Japan, and China.
Yeah.
That's it.
Amazing.
And they're mostly girls, if you've noticed. And they mostly walk in 2s or 4s. So, and they all go to the egg tart shop,
Oh yeah.
and they take pictures next to the GOD wall. It's just this little small route they go on, and they don't diverge.
Yeah.
They don't come to these neighborhoods because they don't know.
Yeah, they
Because
should.
no one's telling them. And the buses that park in front of the Manmo Temple, they cause a lot of pollution, they cause a lot of congestion. And again, it's just tour operators that are only interested in making money. And they bring them in the busloads, and they park there, and they create traffic jams and congestion, as I said. And they come down off the bus, they take them to the Manmo Temple, and then they put them back on the bus again, and they drive them to Central.
Not that interesting.
Not interesting.
I think in the future, I think we should work more on promoting the walking trails, the walking routes that take people from for example, like from Government Hill, Central Police Station, and then they can walk through Soho, and they can look at PMQ, for example, Manmo Temple. They can go to Wingley Street to look at the News Expo, and they can go on come to Taiping Shan, which is a very historic neighborhood, and they can enjoy, a quiet time in here, just, looking at the nice environment. And also the medical museum is very interesting.
Museum,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the
so
gas
much
lamp
to
soon.
do. The gas lamps and Pound Lane and
Well, we
the
call this
lake
area
garden.
Poho now.
Yes, I
We refer
know.
to it as Poho because of Po Hing Fong and Pound Lane.
But we don't want it to be exactly like Soho, because Soho
No,
has
this
become
is a developed.
yeah.
This is more developed.
Yeah, we want it to be have its own character, and that can be supported by our research on the history of this area, the stories. We can even publish some maps or like booklets to tell people about the stories of that area. There's so much materials.
I fished this out because I just saw it and I knew you were coming. Look how beautiful this illustration is.
Yes, I know the artist.
Yes,
Yeah.
she did some of the drawings here actually.
Oh.
Let me just share this with our friends.
Shangwan.
It's a beautiful neighborhood.
It is. Yeah. It's very green actually, compared with
Stunning.
other parts of Central.
And when you look at something holistically like that, you get an idea of the value of this neighborhood to Hong Kong.
I think many film producers have already noticed the character of this area.
They come and they film here sometimes.
They come here day and night, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then on a closing note, are you optimistic about how things are moving?
Well, I think you can feel that I'm essentially a very optimistic person.
Yes.
Somehow, when you have to be like an activist, or if you have to do campaigns like this, one of the very important things is you have to be optimistic, and you really hope that, and you somehow try to get as many people as possible to join our work. And I'm optimistic because, as you say, I'm hopeful to have our younger generations joining us. They know the importance of having a good environment, of building the community, and to have people like you, who have already been spending so many years, and we now know each other, and we have a network in the community. Not saying that we are a lot of people, but we have some people
And it's growing.
who are passionate and who see Hong Kong as their home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and with that in mind, although it's challenging because the pressure for development is always very strong in Hong Kong, and our government has not catch up, with our thinking.
Absolutely.
Not yet. We still have to do a lot of work to try to change the government as well.
And now we have a woman in charge. Our chief executive is a woman.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we're going to see more compassion, more awareness, more education.
She's more sensitive. I have to say, in our previous work or campaign to save the heritage, she is more sensitive to that.
So maybe now it's time to speed up.
Yes,
campaigning
we have to talk to her.
Let's do
and
that.
We have to have all these community members together. Maybe we come here,
On a
have
big round
meeting, have a round table, and then
let's do that. This
we
space is
figure
available for that. This space is available. You see how long the table is here?
Yes,
So we can have
we
20
a
people
round
sitting
table.
around,
Yeah.
and we can all talk together and just
Make things happen.
be proactively creative and make things happen, exactly. And on that note, I'm going to give you this bag as a gift, Katie,
Oh, thank
for being
you.
on Breakfast with Bobsy. Let's put the bonsai aside. So this is for you. Diet change, not climate change.
Oh.
And here it says, eat like it matters.
Yes.
So this is
I remember
my
that.
gift to you.
Thank you, Bobsy.
And
I really enjoyed, talking
Pleasure.
to you, and
It's so important to view these subjects, these topics, because they are so topical, they are so relevant to what's happening in our world today.
yes. And we can start small, I think. We can start with our neighborhood
Yes.
and have it, the spread
Yes.
this message.
Yes.
And yeah, it's nice to start here, in fact.
On that note,
yeah. Thank you very much, Bobsy.
thank you.
It's nice chatting with you. Thank you.